Hey Rovers, I'm excited to say we are about to get underway. We'll be headed to the United States of America. We're heading exactly to Stonington, Connecticut. It's about 500 miles from here. It's all offshore. I'll just be coming back in the last 50 miles to shore. Let's see, what else can I say about it? It's we're going to have pretty good winds, and I'm going to show you that right away on the Windy app. And I'm pretty excited about this because it should be wind on the beam or better for most of the passage. There are some high winds forecast, a little over 20 knots, gusting to closer to 30, but that's only for about an 8-hour period, and that'll be midnight tonight. After that, it should be pretty good sailing conditions. I'm not sure about the sea state, but we're pretty excited about this whole thing. Let's go down below and take a look at the wind. The Wave Rover 650, a design based on my solo ocean crossings. She's small, light, and yet easy to build, but strong enough to cross any ocean. My name's Alan Mulholland, and this is the Wave Rover story. So this is our plan. We plan to leave from Halifax right here and shape a course kind of like my finger is doing here and over to Connecticut. We're heading for a place called Stonington, and it's right there. So right now we're looking at, let's see if we can pull it up, about 10 knots. Now, this is right now, so this evening we are going to have some stronger winds, and we will probably be right about here. I'm going to try to get as close to the shore as possible. The winds are in the right direction, they're just a little bit strong, and that's by midnight tonight. And then just a few hours later, this is 4 a.m., we're down to 20 knots, not a big deal, but then 18, and as the day goes on, we're down to about 12, and by 24 hours later we should be somewhere about here. And then Wednesday, 24 hours later, we should be somewhere right about here. So we're going to be following this stronger wind pattern, and then a day later it looks like that, and we will be somewhere about here. And then the weather forecast now is quite stale, but if it's accurate, we should have pretty good winds to come into Stonington. So let's see, by Saturday we should be there, and we should have 15 knots. We should be on a beam reach to get in there. So that's the plan, but bear in mind, weather has a way of not following these forecasts, or better said, these forecasts are only accurate to about 48 hours. But we have a good window, and we're going to take advantage of it. So we're just clearing the mooring field now. I'll give you a look. Just using the outboard to clear. Well, I was hoping to sail out of Halifax Harbor. I thought that'd be really cool. It's a nice harbor. It's big, so you can do that. But it is dead calm. I'll just show you the water right away. Well, that should all change pretty quickly once we clear the harbor. Well, we finally got ourselves a little bit of wind, and now we're leaving the harbor under sail. That's a dream come true for me. Well, this is just really pleasant. We're just exiting the harbor, and I've had quite a few people text me. I've had quite a few boats come up and say goodbye. It's been a lovely stay in Halifax. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a bellboy sounding in the background. I believe it's just saying goodbye to Wave Rover right now. Just up ahead we have a sailboat that's been escorting me out. We had a nice chat there. He's a longtime supporter of Wave Rover. I really love that. You know, if you ever know that I'm in a harbor and you see me, please come out and say hi. It's one of the great joys of having a YouTube channel. It's one of the great joys of cruising, really. Anyway, it's another beautiful day. I've got a great wind. It's on the port quarter. It's just lovely. It's a lovely day to set sail. I'm not sure if you can see that. We're doing about 4.6, 4.7, 4.2. We're averaging about 4.5 knots, and we're under full sail. We have about 12 to 14 knots. The Mark III is doing the steering. I've got a great big tanker coming up behind me. Beautiful day all in all. It's a busy harbor, that's for sure. She just dropped off her pilot and she's heading out to sea. The Right Honorable Paul E. Martin, Canada Steamship Line. So we've just exited the harbor. We're about maybe 5 miles outside the harbor right now, which means that the wind is unobstructed by the landmass, and we're making about 4.5 to 5 knots. I've tucked one reef in the main, and we're steering pretty much dead downwind. The Mark III is doing a good job. I'm going to take you up on deck, and we're going to take a quick look at all that. It's a bit windy up there, that's why I wanted to give you this little brief here. And the wind, I just put the anemometer on it and it said 10 knots, which obviously isn't correct, but that's because that's a relative wind. With the speed we're doing, that puts it around 15 knots. Okay, here we go. There's the Mark III with the new VANE that I built. Taller, so it's able to handle this. You can see by the waves, we're just turning back into them right now. We're pretty much running straight downwind. That's the harbor behind us. We've got white caps forming. The wind is building all the time. We're expecting 25 knots this evening. And I've put one reef in the main. And if I was hand steering, I could probably take that reef out of the main and I could hand steer, but frankly, that's not the way we do it here on Wave Rover. Not for a solo sailor. You know, you really do have to use your wind vane. So this is really pleasant. It is a bit chilly, so I've got my wet weather gear, and you know, I'm dressed warmly because I know I'll be awake quite a bit of the night on account of the high winds that I expect. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Great day to be a solo sailor. Well, right now I'm mostly inside down below just relaxing. I'm sort of in my rest mode because it's daytime, but we're about an hour and a half away from sunset. The wind is about, last time I checked, it was about 15 knots, and it's building. It's supposed to be 25 knots tonight, gusting about 30. So right now I have the sail, I have a couple of reefs in the sail, and the reason for that is because the Mark III is, it needs a really well balanced rig to work effectively, especially when we're pretty much dead downwind like we are right now. I'll just show you the Mark III. So if I was hand steering, we could probably take at least one of those reefs out, but because I'm a solo sailor, I'm not going to hand steer for hundreds of miles. I just want to I want the Mark III to do the work. Now, like I said, the sun's going to set in a couple of hours, so my plan is just to keep the rig the way it's going right now, because we're making about 4.2 knots, and we're right on course. We're holding our course really nicely. So I'll just leave things as they are, knowing that the wind is building, and as it builds, I'll be prepared to pop up here and probably take at least one more, maybe two more reefs out of the sail. It doesn't matter to me if we're only doing 3.5 to 4 knots when the wind is blowing 25 knots. I'd rather be on course than veering and careening all over the place. So that's the strategy. I know that those winds will die off about 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning. So at that point, I'll hoist the sail again. Very easy evolution with the junk rig. And in fact, I've reworked the lines, and I'll go over this at some other time, but this is my main reefing line right here. And so these three are the ones that I need to operate, and I can do all those just standing right in the hatch right here. So it's really no bother to reef at any time or even to hoist the sail. Anyway, that's the update for now. I'll like I said, I'll be reefing probably in the next 2 hours just as the sun is setting. Well, we're fully reefed, and that's mainly a precaution for this evening. We're totally under control. We're doing about 3.5 to 4 knots even with this fully reefed. The wind is now blowing, well, almost 20 with gusts a bit higher. So the sun will set probably in the next 45 minutes. We're all ready for it, and we'll just keep an eye on the state of our course over the night and keep a watch out for other vessels. So that concludes our, well, probably the better part of 12 hours, only 12 hours on the water. And, again, it is so delightful to be out here. Words cannot describe how happy I am to be, in such a good little seaboat. I've been living on this boat now almost 2 months off and on, and it's a great little cruising boat as well. But right now we're testing it as far as a proper offshore voyage, or passage rather, a good 5 or 6 days. We're traveling from Canada to the US. This is a great little test, and we're having following seas and following winds right now, but a little on the high side. or will be building to a little on the high side over the next few hours. So yeah, everything is going pretty well. Well, the winds are just a little too strong. They came up pretty fast, and they're quite, well, they're in excess of 25 knots. So we have decided to heave to. I'm going to head up on deck and show you how I've done that. So we have the tiller lashed, and we have a little bit of sail up. But we're safe and warm inside the cabin here. In fact, you know, with the cabin hatch closed, it doesn't even sound that bad. But we're just going to wait this out because it's just a little too strong for us to sail in. We're on the correct tack to keep us away from shore. We're making very little headway, and we're actually moving just a slight bit into the wind. So we'll be fine. This will subside in about 6 hours, and then we'll just carry on.